Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. My name is Nick.
I'm Ian.
Today we're going to be talking about MTV, its influence, and why it was so important to society. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you go check all those out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for our merch page. There's also links for the Spotify and Apple Music playlist that we put together every week, and also for the Patreon page. So make sure you check all that out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give us the old thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time we release new episodes. So prior to the start of MTV in 1981, music videos have been around for a long time, all the way going back to the 60s. I want to say there was music videos.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that the Beatles' help movies were technically promotional videos, which is what videos are.
Yeah, but so there's this long history of, or I guess not really a long history, but a couple of decades worth of these short videos that people have been putting together. And then in 1981, MTV debuted and kind of revolutionized, I think, music. It really kind of changed not only the music industry, but really kind of society. At least society here in the United States over the next, 30 years, a lot of it kind of revolved and changed with MTV, especially if you think of like in the early 90s, MTV doing, when they started with Real World. That was kind of like the birth of reality TV.
Thanks, MTV.
Yeah, exactly. I hate reality TV, so thanks a lot. But I think a lot of that kind of came from what MTV was doing. Even like you talked before we started recording. Game shows like Remote Control. Obviously, yes, game shows have been around since the 50s on TV. But MTV was kind of doing it a different way. Incorporating music. Especially when they were doing like a lot of different music videos, a lot of up and coming music directors were able to put videos on there and kind of make a name on their platform.
And there's quite a few different like film directors today who got their start doing music videos.
Yeah. But MTV also kind of changed how labels and bands promoted their music. It really became the primary focus from 1981 till 2002, 2003, 2004. The early part of the 2000s, I think, is when all that kind of changed. And, I kind of think a lot of, like, the downfall, especially rock music in particular, I think is, I kind of point towards kind of the downfall of MTV or MTV stopped, playing a lot of that music on their channel. I think rock in particular, that was one of the main platforms that they used to push new artists from the early 80s to the early part of the 2000s.
I think, you could even argue that it hurt hip-hop and rap as well.
I think they had different outlets.
They did, but I think, there's a lot. Think about that last, say, through 2004 to, say, 2010, 2011. It didn't seem to me, I could be wrong, but it didn't seem to me like there was as many new artists coming out. So, because they didn't have that platform that they had before. But then again, I guess, with the new technologies coming out, a lot of people could shoot videos on their own, which I think you see a lot more now anyway.
Yeah, there's bands still do videos all the time. You just see them on YouTube or on the band's website or whatever, something like, or on social media, things like that. They're still doing that kind of stuff. It just isn't as like easy to access as it was before. So I think we got MTV in our house in like early part of the 80s, probably like 83, 84 is when I at least first remember watching MTV. But it was something that I always had on. And, I'd have it on unless there was something else that I knew I wanted to watch. I'd just turn on MTV and let it play all day long.
Yeah, it's kind of a background.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, it's something I still do even today. So I've got MTV Classic is a channel that's on. I use YouTube TV to watch TV on. And I love just, if there's nothing on TV, just put on MTV Classic. And it's like watching, MTV in the mid-90s or whatever it was. It's great.
For me, it was always, I don't know why, but I liked late night MTV. There was something interesting about it. But then again, you had Saturday nights, midnight, you had Headbangers Ball, which I loved. It was
I used the first to watch time, it all the time.
I was kind of it was my second introduction to Metallica, really, because I'd gotten Ride the Lightning maybe a year or so before that.
Yeah.
And it really didn't catch me, but it was seeing the one video on MTV, Headbangers Ball, that just, really solidified me liking Metallica.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's just something about sitting there in the dark, watching MTV, snacking on chips, drinking your soda because you're, 13 years old, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's just something cool about it. Almost risque about it because you're a kid and you're up late watching,
It was a great way to find new bands, though.
Absolutely.
Without having to, sit there and listen to your radio all day long or, whatever you do now. I guess the algorithm suggests bands to you now, which I don't really like.
Yeah,
that,
it's a lot harder because I've noticed that, especially with your streaming services and stuff, once you've been with that service for a while,
it
the
kind of
field,
pigeonholes you.
Yeah, the field kind of narrows in terms of recommendations, and
Yeah.
with something like an MTV, it's random and isn't geared to one specific taste.
Unless you're watching a specific show like Headbangers Ball or something.
Right?
Like that.
Yeah, I mean, but there was no algorithms; it was always just random.
Yeah.
So if you wanted something that was specifically like hard rock and metal, you had to wait until you watched Headbangers Ball. The rest of the time, you get a mixture of stuff.
Another show that I used to absolutely love on MTV, of course, was Unplugged. I think the Aerosmith Unplugged was one of the first ones I saw, and that was like early 90s, maybe it was 1990, maybe 1991. Actually, it might have been even before that.
Well, it was much later for me. I don't remember seeing anything for Unplugged until Nirvana.
Oh, really?
I think Nirvana was the first Unplugged I ever
There's
saw.
There's a bunch of great ones early on in the series.
Maybe it might have been Neil Young. It was either Neil Young or Nirvana. I can't remember which one came first, but that was my first introduction to Unplugged, and absolutely, I mean, that was, whenever you saw an Unplugged video, it was always awesome.
But it was the whole idea from Unplugged. You know where it came from, don't you? It was from John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora did an Unplugged set on one of the, I don't remember, it was one of the MTV shows or something like that. And that was kind of like the whole birth of the Unplugged TV series.
Very cool. The one reason I think that MTV kind of worked so well, and it had a lot to do with timing, but it was kind of that, it was the first time that the TV generation, because we were like a generation and a half into that, kids raised on TV essentially, that it kind of replaced radio for, what our parents were doing with radio is what we were now going to have with television, again, because we kind of grew up on television. And I think that it was like lightning in a bottle. It happened, and it worked because of that. And I think that has a lot to do with how influential it was, because it really raised a generation of kids in this weird world and of, a mixture of music and film and, like I said, a lot of directors today are still
There was even like animated series that started on there,
absolutely.
Beavis and Butthead, and things
which is
like
still
that.
going today.
Yeah, absolutely.
But as directors who directed music videos, and it was like their first time directing stuff, are some of them are still working in the industry today in terms of Hollywood, making movies and stuff. So it's this. It was just like I said, it was like lightning in a bottle. It's just that one moment in time, like a snapshot,
where everything kind of
worked together, and you can look at all the little social things that have happened because of it. But that really was whoever came, the people who came up with that idea at that moment. I'm not even sure if they knew what they had, but it worked. It worked great.
Well, that's all we got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop us a comment down below. Let us know what some of your favorite memories of MTV are, because there's a bunch of them. I could go on for hours and talk about MTV, but a lot of great stuff that they did over the last 40 years, 42 years, but right? No, 41 years.
41 years.
But yeah, it's been a long time. But drop us comments. Let us know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give us a little thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all we got. Until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Keep on spinning. Peace.